Hello, welcome to the Lately in PHP Podcast Hangout. This is episode 85 after a long wait, trying to find time, but finally we could make it this time with Artur Sosins from the warm Latvia. Hello, Artur. How are you doing?
Good, and with always busy manual emos, it's really hard to find the proper
No,
time.
it's like lately there's been there's not been much PHP, but there's been other related things that are also important. But today we are here to talk about the latest interesting topics about PHP. But first, I would like to start on, unfortunately, a sad note that. Christian Wieg, the winner of PHP Innovation Award of the year 2016. Unfortunately, he seems to have died, according to a note from his brother, Francois Wieg. It's very sad. He has been a great contributor and actually very active. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I just know from his brother that he died, and I hope he's now in a better place. It's sad, but he left a great work that helped many thousands of PHP developers with his components and his kindness, his support. Well, unfortunately, over here in the planet Earth, we need to continue, and we'll hopefully talk more happier notes regarding the latest PHP developments. But just say that we miss Christian, and wherever he's gone, I hope he's well and in peace. Anyway, moving on to the next topics. Let me just share here. I don't know if is it sharing.
It's loading.
Not right.
Yes, it's stuck on your picture.
Yes, I think I need to share the whole screen because it won't work otherwise. Oh, it's the inception. Are you seeing it?
Yes, I see.
Okay, this is just the picture of the podcasting out that we recorded with Christian Wieg. But okay, let's move on to the actual PHP topics. First, talking about the usual latest PHP version developments. I don't know. Okay, I think it is not yet. Oh, okay, now it is in the right place. First, talking about PHP 7.1.6. Wait. Actually, PHP 7.0.20. Basically, the usual bug fixes, I think these are related to security, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see much to talk about these features. As usual, you should upgrade to the latest PHP versions to avoid these bugs, especially if they affect your code.
But they don't seem to be security only related. I think it's general fixes too.
I thought that it isn't it PHP already secure because PHP 7.2 is about to be released in the next months. Or maybe I'm confusing things, which could well be. Anyway, yeah, you're probably right because the bug fixes for PHP 7.1.6 seem to be very similar, and I'm pretty sure PHP 7.1 is not in security fixes mode. Problem, I'm just confusing PHP 5.6.
Yeah.
I have not noticed any thing worth mentioning more than the usual. Anyway, what we have now is already some alpha releases for PHP 7.2. I have not checked it I hardly have time to check the earlier PHP versions, but I will look into this more in the upcoming months because of a new project that I'm working on, and this still use PHP 7.x more intensively, if not 7.2 because it is still alpha, but 7.1 probably. I'm going to jump ahead to the latest stable version.
Makes sense.
But for now, I don't have much to say. I just know that there have been two alpha releases, so if all goes well, probably the newer version will be released around December. We still have a few months to come, but we know that every month there is a new alpha, probably beta, and then a release candidate as usual. So that will happen in the next months. Now, moving on to the actual features of PHP that have been proposed recently. There is a new interesting one for those that are very fans of exceptions. They want to do everything with exceptions, even control statements like loops and conditions. The idea is to have a new statement for the try catch, which should be retry. So as you may see here, if there is a certain exception, now you can specify the number of times that the exception will be retried. So if, like in this example, recoverable exception happens less than 3 times, it will be retried. So I guess you will iterate. So this is a new form of iteration over code. Personally, for me, it's a bit weird. I don't know. Artus, you are more acquainted to JavaScript. Is there anything like this in JavaScript?
No, not really. But just recently, I think just last week, we had an interesting incident that we developed some specific functionality for a client, and it all works in our server, but on their servers, internal servers, there is some kind of server misconfiguration, miscommunication, I don't know, but at least sometimes it just connection is refused and it's not happening. And so what they figured out that if you try to do it like 5 times, then at least once it will connect. So they asked us to implement a retry logic to establishing connection. And it was not hard to do, but it was not that easy too. So with some similar functionality like provided here, it would be much easier. But maybe, I don't know, it doesn't mean that we need really this functionality, because it's possible to do it other ways too.
Like with loops?
Yeah, sort of.
While
Why
this doesn't work?
More like function calls.
It's like why
No,
tries less than 3, but you would have to use an additional variable to store the number of tries.
And function, right? Probably to call same functionality, yes.
Well, in this example, they already have it, but I think you could like put this around a loop and have some condition to determine that this exception happened. Like if recoverable exception, then try again. And then, I don't know, probably in PHP could just use continue here and put this around the big loop. And
yes, something like that would work too.
And do that to break the loop around. So maybe some people prefer it this way because it would be simpler, it would be nicer. I don't know. But you are saying that in JavaScript you don't have this, right?
No, nothing like that.
Yeah, so until JavaScript has something like that, you can say, oh, PHP has this.
Is this innovative thing?
Yeah, because there is like this competition and feature by feature. And well, at least for me, that's what explains why people are trying to stuff more features in the language. Okay, moving on to the next topic. This is about a proposal to use Doxygen to generate documentation from the C sources of PHP. This is not exactly for PHP code. The proposal is to use it to extract documentation from internal code and the internal exceptions, maybe for extensions, and maybe for third-party extensions too. But this is a proposal that was already rejected. So we are talking about something that was an idea and it was not accepted, at least for now. I don't know. I did not follow the outcome or why certain people vote against it.
Yeah, but I think it should not be really tied to the core or anything like that, because it's just a comment style of commenting. So JavaScript has JSDoc, and they are not completely tied. You just have to pre-process it somehow before, like generate this documentation. And JavaDoc is built into IDEs usually.
Yeah.
Still for PHP, I think were some PHP doc or something similar libraries too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know because this people like to use these things probably to make it systematic. Like from now on, all the documentation will for extensions
No,
and internal things will come from Oxygen.
yeah, I don't say it's
From
not useful. It's very useful, but deciding on which style to specifically use should be up to the end user, not implementing in the core.
well, this is not for PHP code. This is for the internals of PHP,
Oh, I
the
see.
C
Yeah.
sources, right?
Okay.
For other things, there is PHP doc, and it's widely used. But anyway, this is rejected. So for now, if it was a good idea, I'm not sure. I'm going to write code for the PHP core. Maybe it needs to be reviewed later because for now it was rejected. The next proposal that we are commenting about, this seems to be interesting to actually make PHP code more efficient. If you are using regular expressions to find stuff in maybe long strings, for instance, if you are searching some text, you can find multiple instances of a certain pattern. You find the first pattern and move on to the next pattern. So the way you use this traditionally is to use a substring to extract the part of the string that you want to match, but this probably is not very efficient and probably will require at least some temporary storage that can be a lot. So the idea is to introduce a new option that you would flag with this parameter here, and then you pass an offset to tell, oh, this the search for prereg match would start in a certain specific offset of the string. So for me, this seems to be a good idea. I'm not sure, but I think I have done this several times. If you
Really?
have,
Interesting.
yeah, for instance, when you want to parse some text and use and you want to find if a certain regular expression is there,
Yeah.
I think that it could even define a limit. Like if you just want to match a portion of the text, the limit is from the beginning to the end. But I don't know how would you pass the length here. Probably have another parameter, and I'm not sure if this function call will actually become a bit messy. But I think the
But
idea is good.
but to do that, you would need to know that the text have some prefixes or something like that you have no use of them. So just interesting what could be the specific real life case. For example, I assume you're parsing URLs, you want to get some domain or path, so you are not interested in each HTTP part, so you can kind of skip that
Yeah.
or something like that maybe.
I
But
think, for instance, let's say if you want to, I'm trying to think of a real case. I have developed a MIME parser, which is for MIME messages. Usually messages can be long. The whole string probably gets loaded in memory in a variable, and you parse certain sections, and then inside you can extract details from those sections. Like, oh, I found an header. A header starts with the beginning of the line and the end of the line. Now, inside the header, there could be some subformats that you need to extract information, and this happens a lot.
I see.
In email messages.
Makes sense.
Probably I have used, I don't remember, I need to take a look, probably used like direct match and then substring. The problem is that substring will extract part of the string, and sometimes you don't know the exact end of the part that you want to extract. So if you could do it on the main original string that you extracted, from what you want to parse, it probably will be more efficient. You do not need to have multiple variables to have portions of that of stuff that are variables with longer strings. That's the use case that I can remember for now. Okay, moving on to the next topic. Now we have here just a proposal because it seems. I'm not sure about this because I don't use Macs. Nothing against Macs, just I don't use it.
Maybe I can comment on it. Yes. So, for example, in company that we are working for analytics, we are sending platform identification from devices, and yes, for previously it was OS X, but recently Apple officially changed it to macOS, as we see here, and some other changes were also made to I think Apple TV, and basically they standardized how platform should be identified. So we had to deal with it internally to accept both parameters and interpret them as one and stuff like that. So I think something similar is happening with PHP too.
Yeah, I think they want to define this PHP OS family as a constant that will be equal to OS X on past versions, but Mac OS on the current versions. So I don't know. I am not familiar with this, so I hope we are interpreting this correctly. And next proposal, actually an RFC, is to have unary null coalescing operator, which would be basically to have like two question marks here, and this would be evaluated against the actual value if it is defined, or null in case of the variable is not defined. It seems to be actually interesting. I found this myself many times, but well, I just check first if it is null and then check. Actually, I use isSet, which is something that exists even for a much longer time to check.
But yes, but if variable is set as null, isSet would return true, right?
No, for
because
null it's
variable is
no.
set. Really? Need to recheck that.
Yeah. Now it's PHP null is not a value.
Okay.
It's probably as an internal representation, but is set would not will evaluate null or not set as true. I mean false in case it is not set, or it is set to null. So for certain statements like is set, it is the same thing, set to null or not being set. Anyway, the idea is to have this unary operator, but it was already voted and it was not accepted. So next, yet another feature that could actually be useful, but it is not accepted. I'm not sure what was the argument. Anyway, if you needed something like this, you already worked around yourself some other way, like checking using this set. Then another topic. This is to be interesting one, but it's probably coming a bit late. It is to use PCS as a mechanism to mix C and PHP code in PHP extensions. So there are PHP extensions that are written currently in C, but the idea is to allow PHP code to write those extensions, so it becomes actually faster to develop new extensions and probably rewrite some existing extensions, because the way they are putting this is that if you use the PHP engine now with the upcoming Jet engine, it will probably be even faster than having some native code. I'm not sure about that, but if they are claiming that could be the case, probably they know it better than me. I don't know. Arthur, so what is your take on this?
Well, if someone asks me to develop a PHP extension and I got to choose if I should develop it in C on PHP, I would choose PHP.
Yeah, and actually there is Zephyr, which is a language very similar to PHP, it's based on PHP. There are some differences. There are no like less than question mark PHP marks. All is PHP code. There is no embedding of data HTML in PHP code. So this is not for outputting PHP. This is more to embed, create extensions in PHP. Then it would compile into some C code that would be compiled by a real C compiler into a PHP extension. But the idea is a bit different.
It was the one used in PHP testing, or was it something else?
I don't know. You mean testing the PHP features?
Yeah, I think we also covered in some podcast about writing tests for PHP, and it was also something similar language, interesting language.
No, I don't know. I think PHP tests are written in PHP format with just a bunch of lines.
Oh yeah,
with
true.
some output.
True.
Maybe you are thinking of something else.
Yes, okay.
Anyway, from what I've read, why this could be an interesting idea, probably it will not be for PHP 7.2 because we are still in alpha. Probably it's a bit late to start introducing these things. But I think it could be an interesting thing. Maybe write self-written PHP, like you write PHP in PHP code.
Yeah, that would be nice.
In PHP code. They say that in some cases it is faster. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'm not getting this right, or maybe I'm getting this right, and this is a bit fantastic claim. But if it's true, I'm all for it. Sounds great to be able to write PHP extensions in PHP. Probably this will address the needs of those that want to like using coders and other types of extensions. But I don't know if I don't think this is the purpose for now. Anyway, it seems to be an interesting proposal. Probably it will not make it to PHP 7.2, but who knows? Okay, next topic. Moving on is about final variables. Final variables are those that cannot be changed. PHP has constants, but final variables are not exactly constants. Final variables are like, for instance, can be, for instance, objects or arrays, I mean non-scalar values. But for instance, you can have a constant object assigned to a final variable, but you can still change the variable. So it's not really a constant. It's more something to hint that that class variable cannot be changed, even if it points to an object, and the object obviously could be changed over time. I mean, the variables that it contains. It's a bit different. I'm not sure it's games about Java supporting the final keyword. I don't know. Uh, Arthur, do you use? I don't. You use JavaScript? Is there anything like that in JavaScript, like
No,
final?
the new stuff in JavaScript is let and const, and let is just new var but with lesser scope, and const is that you can't change the reference, but you can add new properties to the object. So it sounds like final, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. Final. Oh, well, let is like the local scope.
yes, yes. So if var definition was a function scope, then let can be used in a lesser scope, like in loop or I think even if branch, but I need to recheck that. But I'm not using that much yet. But it can define much lesser scope, right, for variable. But there is also const, which and const basically that you can't change the reference to the variable if it's a simple variable that you can change it, can't change its values, like if it's a number or something like that. But if it's an object, you can't change the reference, but you still can manipulate internal properties of the object, like delete or add new properties and stuff like that.
So JavaScript is not there yet, I think. Or did I get did I get this right?
No, it's already there, so it's already available. So I don't know if it's the same as final, but from the examples at least here, it looks like it is similar to final.
Yeah, well, I don't know. People like to stuff features in languages just to make them better, but I was not sure since the classes were introduced in ECMAScript 6 if all the features of classes from other languages were already implemented in JavaScript. I don't know. You tell me because lately
No,
I have not done much JavaScript.
you need to use TypeScript if you want all full OOP, I think. I don't know if ECMAScript provides everything you need.
Well, full OOP, does that mean like Java?
Yeah,
Is
like, I
Java
don't
the
know,
full OOP thing?
multiple inheritance and stuff like that.
Yeah, not to make it really complicated. Okay, moving on. There is another topic here. It is about the binary version of serialize. So instead of serializing variables to some string to serialize some binary data that would be more efficient to store. So this is a revival of a topic back in 2014 of using message pack, which is a format for binary serialization, and it to use some functions of that PHP has for that. But this is just a discussion. I did not quite follow where it gone, but I think this could be interesting. So,
Yeah, I think the main proposal is either really replace those serialization implementations or add new ones, like with different names, which I think adding new ones should be a good case. So who wants can use the old one, who wants can move to the new ones and
yeah, and
use them.
again, comparing with other languages, we all know that JavaScript uses JSON for like forever, and but the popularization of JavaScript made it JSON format also popular in other languages like PHP. But what about binary formats? Is there some kind of binary format? uh,
Buffer,
I'm not
I
sure.
think, may
Or like Bazel? I don't know.
yes, there is a basin. MongoDB uses it, but I don't think JavaScript directly uses it.
Yeah, but is it widely used or just a few people that are obsessed in performance?
No, there are actually some other also packaging like formats that are shorter than JSON and stuff like that. But natively, JSON is the only one.
Yeah. Well, probably they will not save much space going binary. When
Probably
most
not.
things are text, text will be still text. It will take the same space and probably the same performance extracting the data. Now we are going to move on to just to comment on a few articles. First, starting with one that was about the birthday of PHP classes that was actually in last month, but I did not have the time to write even a single post about it. And anyway, this is the 18th birthday, like I think it's June 24. We are like 1 month delayed. But last month I was traveling to Canada to an event that I went there. I was not able to do much work, so I postponed it for now. Just to comment briefly about things that happened last year in the developments of PHP classes and also things that are planned for the future. Just comment it briefly. PHP now has a few categories that were added more recently to implement things that are more modern to the PHP community in terms of practices, like using PHP 7 and PSR implementations of interfaces defined by the PHP standards recommendations. People that try to define common APIs for things that could be implemented by multiple providers, and then you can actually pick different providers. So that there are packages that implement PSR interfaces, and there is a category for that in PHP classes, like also for PHP 7 specific packages. And there is also one that is not recent. It's about traits. In PHP, you have traits in PHP 5.4, and when you use traits, it makes a bit possible a different kind of reuse. So there is a category in PHP classes for that. But that was something that has been implemented over time last year. Another thing that was implemented is automating the package submissions from GitHub repositories. Nowadays, if you want to import a package from that you have in GitHub and want to get more exposure to it in PHP classes, you can just enter the URL of the package in a repository in GitHub, and the site will automate the import. You don't have to do much these days, as in the past that you had to fill a bunch of forms. Now things are faster. Talking also about GitHub, there is a feature. It's not a feature for exactly for authors that want to publish packages, but it's a feature for discovering new packages from authors that already published packages in the past PHP classes, but they are probably new packages that are even more interesting, and they will want them, but they did not yet import it to PHP classes. So there is a backend interface that I, as a moderator, can look into it once in a while and find new packages that can be interesting to import. And the author may give permission to have those packages be imported. So, and that is okay. What I do is to actually I use that interface to send an invitation, and the person, the author that gets the invitation, already published some packages in the past, and it just gets a link to. If he clicks on that link, it starts the import of the package like immediately and without much hassle. So the idea is to make it easy to import new packages that can be interesting. Another interesting, more recent event. We have sponsors, some new sponsors of the Innovation Award to get users more nice prizes. One from IronCube. IronCube is like Source Guardian, the other more recent sponsor. They develop PHP products to create those bunches of libraries of code that can be encoded, so they are hard to copy, so you don't need to show the source code. They get your code encoded in a way that is hard, if possible, to
Yeah, so
sort
basically
of.
obfuscate.
Yeah, no, it's not obfuscate. It's more than that. It just includes in some binary format and probably has some encryption with some secret keys to protect the code so to actually be stolen. It doesn't make it impossible. It makes much harder to protect. Anyway, the idea is to just to tell that IMCube, like Source and Guardian before, is now also a sponsor of the PHP Innovation Award. And probably you'll hear more about them because there will be a space that will be given for all the sponsors to post an article in the PHP Classes blog to tell more about their products as sort of retribution for them being sponsors of the Innovation Award. That was just another thing that was like already. It's like past news now for the current and future things that will happen in PHP Classes. I have already started something last year. It's like a new business. It's not exactly specific to PHP, but it's of the interest of many software developers that are interested to have their own independent businesses writing software products, or maybe other businesses because they have already expanded the scope. So there will be a course probably due until October that will be launched. It will be very objective. It will be sold as a membership. You just pay a subscription. You have to get access to the whole content, the whole course at once. It's not like you have to pay for additional modules. You just pay a membership and you can access to the materials. And if you are happy with it, you continue to receive more content about creating businesses based on products that you will create. And another thing that I have started now with a partner, Rodrigo Vasconcelos, has joined me in this business, and will be not only releasing this course, but we will also be offering free mentoring to some people, not everybody, because we don't have unlimited time, but people that, for instance, they want to start their own businesses and they don't know where to start, should they focus, how to discover opportunities to create products that will sell well, how to market them, how to define your business model. All this will be provided for free. We already started, like we have 12 people that are getting mentoring. This works. It's free, like in the sense that people that are invited, they don't have to pay money. The only thing is that we will do everything that we can to make their business succeed. So by the time they succeed, we have a real world case. So this is our what we ask in return. This is have a successful business with our help, and then we can present that as a success case. This is part of our marketing plan. We are not only showing how to do it in theory, but also presenting real-world cases. This is why we are giving free mentoring. If some of you are listening to this and are interested, there is just use the contact link on the. It is on the article, but it's the same as that is on the site. Just to contact me and say, "Oh, I'm interested in mentorship, mentoring." So it will be available for Portuguese speakers and also for English speakers later. So if you are not a native English speaker nor a native Portuguese speaker, you can also get mentoring if you know how to express in English. That's all. Just contact me, and so we can allocate some time later when we start giving mentoring to English speakers. It will there will be a limited number of seats available to this mentoring, but we're just announcing this. So if you are interested, you will have our help. Just express your interest as soon as possible before we run out of seats. Okay. Also, another interesting thing that I have been developing as part also of this course. Not only I'm creating the course, but I'm also creating a business from scratch that is applying the knowledge that I teach in the course. So the actual business is a SEO product, which will be a search engine optimization tool that will help you to optimize your sites, your pages. And this tool has already been used to improve the PHP classes package and blog article pages.
And I saw the results, and they are impressive.
Sorry?
And I saw the results after the changes, and they are impressive.
Yes, it's true. I already told you about that secret, but soon it will not be a secret. This will be one of the real-world cases that we use to demonstrate not just the tool itself, but how we are creating a product that people want, and also how to market it, how to define a business model around it. As a side news, I have found myself, I've been working on this since October, but it has been giving me a lot of work, so I invited Cesar Roders. Cesar Roders was a long time, is a long time contributor of the PHP classes and the winner of the PHP Innovation Award for 2 years in a row. It was already several years ago. He hasn't had as much time these days, but he accepted an invitation to become my partner in this business. So we are splitting the work to develop and launch this tool very, very soon, hopefully. And finally, there is also an article, a section here that talking about PHP reference articles on important topics. And these are articles that I have written or were written by collaborators of the site to talk about interesting topics, like, for instance, PHP performance comparison, the best PHP IDEs comparison, best WordPress security plugins, best PHP books, which is something that we are going to comment ahead. And there is a new upcoming article on PHP source code protection solutions that is being reviewed and will be released also soon. All these articles are not only written by collaborators that were actually paid to write those articles, but after that there was an effort to use to optimize them so they can become reference articles. They can become very well ranked on Google. With and we actually used the SEO tool that I'm working on. So everything is related here, and there will probably more reference articles being written. So you understand, reference articles are articles like, for instance, those that are in Wikipedia on certain topics. They become a sort of authority because they answer important questions, and over time they will be well positioned in the search engines, specifically Google. There will be more opportunities to write these articles, and since I don't have the time, the site is paying those that are interested to write more of these articles. I have like new articles on a weekly basis now. Some are still being written and they were not reviewed, but will be soon. So if you are interested to write these articles and be paid for that, just use the contact link that is here. And well, this is it for about this article. So we are going to move on to the first article, which is also one of those articles that I just mentioned. In the case is this one. Sorry, not this one. No, this is the one. This is an article about the best PHP books of 2017 and 2016. I have written this article, but in reality, it was generated by a script. I've written a template, and then I used a script to pull some rankings from Amazon with API, Amazon API, to tell which are the PHP books that are best sellers. There is some text explaining the sections of the article. And here we have the ranking of the books that how they are so far. This article is dynamic, so it will be updated regularly, pulling the bestsellers list from Amazon. And for now, it just contains books that are from O'Reilly Unpacked. And these are all that are generic books. Later, we also add books about frameworks. Frameworks is a whole topic on the PHP books. There are many books on these for PHP, and for that they deserve a separate treatment, as well like books on, for instance, WordPress. So there will be a separate ranking for this. I'm implementing this progressively because I have to improve the script that does the editing of this article. So all is coming together, but this is something that is being developed for a few months now, as my time permits. And at the same time, this article was released for the first time on June. There it will be updated regularly over time, so it always has the latest top PHP books of the moment. As I mentioned, the SEO tool that I have been developing, it has been kind of helping to determine, for instance, what new sections this article will have. Now, for the future, besides books about frameworks and WordPress, I will also try to pull information on books from LeanPub. LeanPub is an independent vendor for self-publishing authors. So they have their own separate ranking. It's not exactly available via an API, but I already talked with LeanPub people. They say it's okay to scrape their pages to get the best-selling books. So I probably need to write a simple robot script to pull the data from their pages and show the top, the best-selling books, PHP books from them. I will not be able to mix their ranking because we don't know how it compares with the Amazon ranking, but I'll do my best to make this as complete as possible. And probably there will also be something like this, but for JavaScript. What do you think, Arthur? Would that be interesting?
Yeah, I think so. And I even think that JavaScript probably has more fierce competition on the book side because there are many frameworks and many books for them.
I'm sure about that. I also probably need to limit the number of books, but it's not like interesting to publish the top 50 JavaScript books because people will not buy all of them, even those that will like to to read many books. Anyway, just a final note. This article is written in collaboration with the actual authors of the books. So all these descriptions, like what is the short description of the book, why this book is written, and intended audience, this is all text that was provided by the authors. Some authors that did not yet reply, you can see a message like, say, details about the book were not yet provided by the author. So if you are probably listening to this and you are the author of one PHP book that is appears with this information, is because probably I tried to contact you, or maybe I did not find the contact to the email address to find you. And in that case, feel free to contact back the PHP classes so I can actually make this article more complete. Okay, so moving on to the next articles, I guess there are a couple that you would like to comment, right, Arthur?
Yes, let me share the screen. Yes. So the first article is about some specific tasks that not maybe many of us need, but if needed, it could be a headache to achieve at first. And how can PHP import Excel file to MySQL? And author is Hasib Ahmad Basil from Pakistan. And yes, basically, at the first site to parse Excel file, the new format XLSX, you can try to simply unzip it because it's zipped and then parse the XML file inside it and try to understand it. But as usually, it's much easier to just use a library that does what you need. So author listed a couple of libraries that could help you with that, and which one of them, as I understood, is the package here. Yes, so other authors, but the package here, and the basic article would cover this package more. And similarly, there are many ways to import this data into MySQL. Because XML data could be structured and multi-level data. It cannot be imported directly into MySQL, but you can convert it to some other format like CSV and then import it to database. There are also tools that help you with that, and also other desktop software as mentioned that could do that. And in the end, there is a section providing an example of how you can achieve this with a previously mentioned class that's available here. So if you need to import Excel file into database, you can check it out and use it. And yeah, so here is where you can download the package itself.
Yeah. Just on a side note, for instance, this article was also optimized with the SEO tool that I mentioned. It's very interesting. Later, I'll probably talk more about this tool. This article is about the package that has a great demand on the site. The author of the article is not the author of the package. He was invited and paid for this article, and then over time, after the article is published, it starts getting more traffic, and the information about the traffic will suggest that certain keywords are better to use on the page. This has nothing to do with Excel. It's just the way things people become more interested on this. Okay. I guess you have to comment on the other or not.
Yes, and another article, the other article is PHP Metrics Math Library. The author is Zinsu E. Moise from Benin. And yes, the article actually mentions one interesting thing, that PHP does not have native tools to deal with matrices. Like, we can store a multidimensional array, two-dimensional array to represent metrics, but we can't do really any operations on the matrices. And I was just thinking about, and apart from some specific languages, like use it as MATLAB and Mathematica, I can't come up really with languages that have these operations at native level implemented, only through some kind of third-party libraries. Even Python that is used a lot in AI and learning, machine learning, where sometimes you need also such operations, and it also uses some third-party libraries. Uh, so yes, so why would you need to use matrices? Usually it's something more like linear algebra or describing transformation and calculating a transformation. And yes, also machine learning, as I mentioned before. And since there is no native way to do it in PHP, there is a package that could help you with those. Let me quickly load it. So yes, package is provided by the same author. And then he describes about this package and what can do, and like determinant calculation or basic calculations like adding matrices. And you can download this package also here. I think we probably will come on the package some time later, because I assume it was it was in the nominees. Yeah, but that's all about the article.
Yeah, so this article, this one was not optimized yet for with the SEO tool that I mentioned, but probably it is very recent. Usually, I need to publish the article and wait a few days to tell about to see what keywords it is sending traffic. And one of the things that the tool suggests is like, for instance, these age one headers, this age two, and also the age one that is here.
And page
Problem,
titles.
yeah.
Maybe
Problem.
you can share your screen so we would see what you're talking about.
Right. Sorry, I was missing this elephant ear. It's dropping.
It looks like he wants to get away.
Yeah. Okay. I think now it's visible, but he's a bit shy. He has to be.
This elephant is looking for a new home, so please submit
Probably,
innovative packages.
if he doesn't behave very well, he'll be shipped to the next winner in an ocean award. There's a detail here. This here, it was not supposed to be bent like this. It was more like this, but it drops. Okay. Still, there is a lot of competition to get one of these. Okay, what I was just telling. Let me
headers. Which headers you're usually optimizing?
I'm just sharing because the Hangouts is it sharing? No, it's not sharing because I need to share the full screen.
You need to do the inception thing. Yes.
Yeah, tell me about it. And find the screen. This is one. Well, I was telling that usually it optimizes, suggests improvements for this. Not all things can be changed because this come from the package name. But for instance, these H2 headers, that they are very important because they hint search engines that these are the topics that the articles are about. So, but sometimes these topics are not optimal. They are related with other topics. Keywords that have more to do with what people are searching for. So the tool suggests, optimize better for this, and then you can change these headers. And later, it will even give you a score of how optimized your page is so far. So it's quite interesting. Even though for now it's just a prototype, soon it will become a beta product. Hopefully, we are running fast and that still have other projects to carry on, like the software product business course. But all things are being done in parallel, and as you mentioned, there are some interesting results. Probably I can show them in some charts soon. Well, anyway, with this, we practically end this podcast. We had a kind of run to talk about all these topics. So for now, that's all. Bye.
Bye.
And I forgot to cover briefly the topics of the podcast. So let me restart here before I end and cover the topics again. Okay, today we are going to talk several interesting topics, but first we'll start on a sad note about Christian Wiig, the PHP Innovation Award winner of the year 2016, that according to his brother, he has died. And we are very sad because he was a great contributor, but we'll talk more about this right after the beginning. Next, we'll start talking about the usual developments of the latest PHP versions, not just PHP 7.1, but also, PHP 7.0 and 7.1, but also PHP 7.2 alpha that started to have its new releases. Then we start talking about the usual proposals in RFC, starting one to have the retry functionality for exceptions, on which you will be allowed to specify that one exception can happen multiple times, and if it happens once, it can be retried and up to a limit, meaning that the code that is inside the exception will be run again. Next, we'll talk about a proposal to use Doxygen to document the C sources of PHP, the PHP engine. Next, we'll have a proposal to be able to specify an offset when on a string that is to be searched matched with regular expressions with preg match and probably other functions of the preg extension. Next, we'll talk about a new value for the PHP OS family when you are using the Mac OS and similar OS engines, versions from Apple. Next, we'll talk about a proposal for supporting the unary collection operating for instance, checking if a certain request variable is set, and if it is not set, the value it is evaluated as null, not just to avoid warnings of undefined variables. Next, we'll have a proposal for inclusion of PCS in PHP 7.2, which would be the ability to mix PHP code and C code to develop PHP extensions. This is interesting. We'll talk more on that. Next, we'll talk about the possibility to have final variables like you have in Java, not just for scalar types of variables, which you can do already using constants, but also for objects, like objects that do not change, despite the information inside the objects may change. Next, there will be a revival of proposal to use a message pack as a binary format for serializing and unserializing data. Currently use serialized and unserialized functions, but this would be to generate a more efficient format, which would be message pack. Next, we'll talk about some articles that were published on PHP Classes blog, starting one about the 18 years of PHP Classes, just reviewing what happened in the last year in terms of new developments, and also the upcoming plans that will happen around PHP Classes. Next, we'll talk about several articles. One that is about the best PHP books of 2017-2016. This is just a ranking of books that is generated dynamically. So this article will be updated regularly. It's not a static article. Next year probably it will say best PHP books of 2018 and 2017. And then we'll talk about a couple of other articles that are more tutorials, one for importing Excel
into MySQL
spreadsheets into MySQL with a class that exists on the site, and another is to manipulate matrices in PHP.